Debbie Reynolds truly hated him more than anyone. Debbie Reynolds was born Mary Frances Reynolds on April 1, 1932, in El Paso, Texas. She grew up in a modest family with a strong work ethic, which laid the foundation for her relentless determination and enduring charm. Her father, Raymond Francis Reynolds, was a police officer, and her mother, Carrie Jane Cottrell, was a singer and dancer, so Debbie was exposed to the world of entertainment early on, which sparked her lifelong passion for performing. Reynolds' journey to stardom began at a young age when she won a local beauty pageant at just 16, which eventually led to her being signed by MGM, one of the biggest studios during Hollywood's golden age. It was her effervescent spirit and girl-next-door appeal that caught the attention of studio executives, propelling her into the spotlight. Her breakthrough role came in 1950 with the classic musical film Singin' in the Rain, where she starred alongside Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor. Her portrayal of Kathy Selden, a hopeful young actress navigating the transition from silent films to talkies, was met with widespread acclaim. The film itself became one of the most beloved musicals in cinematic history, and Debbie's performance was central to its success, showcasing her natural acting ability and impressive singing and dancing talents. Throughout the 1950s and 1960s, Reynolds solidified her status as one of Hollywood's most beloved leading ladies by starring in numerous musicals, comedies, and dramas. Some of her other notable films included The Unsinkable Molly Brown, for which she earned an Academy Award nomination, Tammy and the Bachelor, and How the West Was Won. Her voice was equally captivating, and she recorded several albums, earning a place in the hearts of music lovers as well. On television, she charmed audiences in series such as The Debbie Reynolds Show and guest appearances that highlighted her comedic timing and personable nature. Beyond the silver screen, Debbie was also a gifted singer, releasing several albums and performing in concerts that highlighted her warm, clear voice and charismatic stage presence. Her ability to connect with audiences through music as well as acting helped her maintain a diverse and dynamic career. Off-screen, Debbie Reynolds was known for her resilience, kindness, and dedication to preserving Hollywood history. She was an avid collector of film memorabilia, amassing one of the largest private collections of Hollywood artifacts. Her passion for film history culminated in the founding of the Hollywood Motion Picture Museum, a testament to her commitment to honoring the legacy of cinema and inspiring future generations. Despite facing personal challenges, including a highly publicized marriage and divorce with singer Eddie Fisher, Reynolds maintained grace and professionalism, earning her the respect and admiration of colleagues and fans alike. Debbie's later years saw her transition to television, where she enjoyed success with roles on popular series such as Will and Grace, introducing her talents to new audiences and showcasing her comedic timing. She also appeared on Broadway and continued to perform live, proving that her passion for entertainment never waned. Her vibrant personality and infectious enthusiasm made her a beloved figure not just as an entertainer, but as a cherished friend and mentor in the industry. Debbie Reynolds, known not only for her incredible talent on stage and screen, but also for her resilience and grace under public scrutiny, was married 3 times over the course of her life. Her first and most publicized marriage was to singer and actor Eddie Fisher, a union that began in 1955 at the height of both their careers. The couple quickly became one of Hollywood's golden duos, adored by fans for their wholesome image and undeniable star power. Their marriage produced 2 children, Carrie Fisher, who would go on to become a legendary actress and writer best known for her iconic role as Princess Leia in Star Wars, and Todd Fisher, who would become a producer, director, and cinematographer. However, their seemingly perfect family life came to an abrupt and painful end in 1959 when it was revealed that Eddie Fisher had been having an affair with Elizabeth Taylor, one of Reynolds' closest friends at the time. The affair emerged in the aftermath of a tragic event, the death of Taylor's husband, producer Mike Todd, in a plane crash, Fisher, who had been a close friend of Todd's, offered Taylor support during her grief, and that support evolved into a romantic relationship. The revelation shocked the public and ignited a massive scandal that dominated tabloid headlines. The fallout was swift and severe. Not only did Reynolds file for divorce, but Fisher's public image took a nosedive, and the scandal ultimately led to the cancellation of The Eddie Fisher Show, his popular television program. Despite the betrayal and heartbreak, Reynolds maintained her dignity, earning widespread admiration for the grace with which she handled the situation. In later years, both Reynolds and Taylor reconciled, a testament to Reynolds' forgiving nature and strength of character. Reynolds' second marriage, to Harry Carl, a wealthy businessman and the former husband of actress Marie McDonald, began in 1960 and lasted until 1973. At the time, Carl was the head of a successful shoe store chain, and Reynolds hoped that this new chapter in her life would bring greater personal stability. During this marriage, Reynolds took a more hands-on approach to motherhood and family life, even in the midst of her demanding career. In the 1960s, when her daughter Carrie and Carl's daughter from a previous marriage, Tina, were both 13 years old, Reynolds made a touching personal sacrifice. She rearranged her professional schedule to ensure she could lead their Girl Scout troop. Every Friday afternoon, she would leave her work at the studio early so she could be present at troop meetings, embodying her devotion to family despite the pressures of celebrity life. However, this marriage also came with serious challenges. Unknown to Reynolds at first, Carl had a serious gambling problem, and over time, he squandered not only his fortune, but also much of hers. He made several poor financial investments, and his unchecked gambling led the couple into serious financial distress. Reynolds would later speak candidly about how she found herself in dire economic straits due to Carl's mismanagement, which forced her to work tirelessly into her later years to rebuild her finances. The marriage, already strained by these financial issues and emotional distance, eventually ended in divorce in 1973. In 1984, over a decade after her second divorce, Reynolds entered into her third and final marriage, this time to Richard Hamlet, a real estate developer. Hoping to find lasting companionship, Reynolds believed this union might bring a sense of peace and partnership. The couple shared business interests as well, with Reynolds investing in and working on the renovation of the Debbie Reynolds Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, a dream project that she hoped would both honor her legacy and support her financially. However, this marriage, too, proved disappointing. The relationship became strained, particularly as the hotel venture failed to achieve the success Reynolds envisioned, and she again faced mounting financial difficulties. The pressures of business, coupled with growing personal incompatibilities, led to the dissolution of the marriage in 1996 after 12 years. Reynolds later spoke of this relationship with a mixture of regret and humor, often noting how her choices in husbands were far less successful than her accomplishments on screen. Despite the heartbreak and financial setbacks these marriages brought into her life, Debbie Reynolds never lost her optimism, her sense of humor, or her deep commitment to her family. Her enduring love and support for her children, particularly her daughter Carrie, remained one of the most powerful and consistent themes of her life, and her ability to move forward in the face of personal adversity only added to her legacy as one of Hollywood's most beloved and resilient stars. In a town like Hollywood, where fleeting friendships and simmering rivalries often exist beneath the glimmering facade of smiles and red carpet glamour, few tensions have been rumored as emotionally charged, or as quietly toxic, as the one said to have existed between Debbie Reynolds and Walter Brennan. While Debbie Reynolds was celebrated for her charm, warmth, and effervescent persona, particularly beloved in musicals and comedies that made her America's sweetheart, there was one person in the industry she allegedly harbored an intense, almost visceral dislike for: Walter Brennan. Brennan, a three-time Academy Award-winning character actor, was known for his gravelly voice, staunch conservatism, and often gruff demeanor. His roles as crusty but lovable sidekicks masked what many in Hollywood considered a much colder, more confrontational private persona. Debbie Reynolds, who embodied a more open-minded and inclusive spirit that matched the changing tides of Hollywood in the 1950s and 60s, often clashed, both ideologically and personally, with the veteran actor. The roots of Debbie's loathing for Brennan reportedly trace back to a specific incendiary encounter during a studio luncheon in the late 1950s. Reynolds, then a rising star who had recently dazzled in Singin' in the Rain, was seated next to Brennan at a formal MGM gathering, with a room full of stars, executives, and industry insiders buzzing with studio gossip and champagne. Brennan made an offhand remark about female performers lacking the grit to survive the film industry without becoming, in his words, just pretty ornaments. Reynolds, who had fought tooth and nail to be taken seriously as both an actress and a singer, was stunned by the blatant chauvinism. She reportedly responded with icy sarcasm, saying, "Well then, I guess I'm just an ornament who signs more autographs than you ever will." Brennan, visibly irritated, walked away, mumbling under his breath, though those seated nearby claimed the words were neither flattering nor forgettable. That exchange marked the beginning of a long-standing tension. Over the next decade, their paths occasionally crossed on studio lots and at industry events. Each time, the air grew noticeably colder when the two were in the same room. Debbie, known for her generally cheerful and diplomatic demeanor, became uncharacteristically blunt when Brennan's name was mentioned. She refused to consider any projects that might involve working with him, allegedly going as far as to insist his name be removed from certain casting discussions during her television years. Brennan, for his part, referred to Reynolds dismissively in interviews, without naming her directly, as part of the Hollywood crowd that forgot what America stood for. Their political differences only widened the rift. As Brennan grew more vocal in his ultra-conservative views during the height of the Vietnam War and the Civil Rights Movement, Reynolds became more engaged in social causes, advocating for equality and later speaking openly about mental health issues in support of her daughter, Carrie Fisher. Brennan's disdain for the changing cultural climate was said to be mirrored in his private comments about younger, more progressive stars like Reynolds, whom he viewed as undermining traditional American values. Though Reynolds was known to forgive many, even Eddie Fisher, the man who broke her heart by leaving her for Elizabeth Taylor, she reportedly never softened her feelings toward Brennan. Friends close to her later said that of all the people she had known in her decades-long career, he remained the one man she truly could not stand. She could joke about most anything, one confidant said, but when Walter Brennan came up, her smile disappeared. That was real, deep dislike. Whether it was due to clashing personalities, stark political opposition, or deeply personal affronts that went unspoken, the relationship between Debbie Reynolds and Walter Brennan became one of the few truly enduring feuds in her life. And unlike most of Hollywood's carefully managed rivalries, this one never found closure or reconciliation. For Debbie, whose heart seemed big enough to forgive nearly anyone, Walter Brennan remained the single immovable exception, proof that even America's sweetheart had her breaking point. On December 28, 2016, just one day after the heartbreaking death of her beloved daughter Carrie Fisher, legendary actress and Hollywood icon Debbie Reynolds was rushed to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles. According to her son, Todd Fisher, Debbie had suffered what he described as a severe stroke at the home of his sister Carrie, where the family had gathered in mourning and shock following Carrie's sudden passing. Todd later recounted that Reynolds, overwhelmed with grief, had expressed her devastation in simple, heartbreaking terms, reportedly saying, "I want to be with Carrie." Only hours later, Reynolds collapsed, and emergency medical services were called. Despite efforts by doctors to stabilize her condition, Reynolds's health deteriorated rapidly. Later that same afternoon, Reynolds was officially pronounced dead at Cedars-Sinai. She was 84 years old. Her sudden passing, occurring so soon after the death of her daughter, stunned the world and deepened the sorrow felt by fans, friends, and fellow performers across generations. The double tragedy, losing two of Hollywood's most beloved figures in less than 48 hours, made headlines around the globe and left many speculating on the deep emotional toll that Carrie's death had taken on Reynolds. The close bond between mother and daughter had always been well known, but this final chapter underscored the depth of their connection in a profound and almost mythical way. On January 9, 2017, official documentation confirmed that Debbie Reynolds's cause of death was an intracerebral hemorrhage, a type of stroke caused by bleeding within the brain. The report further noted that hypertension, or chronic high blood pressure, was a contributing factor. This medical condition, often linked to stress and emotional strain, highlighted the immense physical burden Reynolds may have endured in the wake of her daughter's death. For many, it seemed as though the grief had simply been too great for her heart and body to bear, reinforcing the tragic narrative that Debbie Reynolds had died of a broken heart. The events leading to Reynolds's own passing were set in motion only days earlier. On December 23, 2016, her daughter Carrie Fisher, best known for her iconic role as Princess Leia in the Star Wars franchise and equally admired for her candid writing and wit, suffered a severe medical emergency while on a transatlantic flight from London to Los Angeles. Just 15 minutes before the plane was due to land, Fisher went into cardiac arrest. Passengers and flight crew members attempted to revive her, and she was immediately rushed to Ronald Reagan UCLA Medical Center upon landing. Despite intensive care and a brief period of hope that she might recover, Fisher passed away on the morning of December 27, 2016, at the age of 60. Her death sent shockwaves through Hollywood and among fans worldwide. Carrie Fisher had recently completed a publicity tour in the UK to promote her memoir, The Princess Diarist, in which she reflected on her life, including her complex but deeply loving relationship with her mother. The irony of her final public reflections, centering so poignantly on Debbie Reynolds,